Just the permit to climb Mount Everest costs $14,000, which includes an $11,500 license fee and various other charges like insurance and even the cost of transporting your body if needed. But this is just the beginning of a grueling 2-month-long climbing process. First, it takes 10 days just to reach Everest Base Camp. You'll need to fly to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, where expenses quickly add up as you start purchasing supplies. An oxygen tank costs $720 each, and most climbers need 5 tanks. With masks and the entire breathing system, it amounts to around $4,300. Then there are climbing boots, around $1,400 per pair, a full-down suit, nearly $1,400, sleeping bags, gloves, and more, totaling around $5,800 for the full gear. After preparing in Kathmandu, you'll need to take a flight costing several thousand yuan to Lukla, a small Nepalese town closest to Everest Base Camp, as it's the last point accessible by air. From there, it's a week-long trek to base camp, requiring you to hire a local porter to carry your gear for around $1,400. By the time you reach base camp at an altitude of 5,334 meters, you've already spent around $28,800 on the permit, gear, transportation, and 10 days of time. Then begins the 6-week Everest climbing period. This extended time is necessary for acclimatization and training. During this period, you'll need to hire a cook, around $5,800 for the 6 weeks, and, more importantly, a Sherpa guide, which is mandatory. A certified professional guide costs around $10,100, while an amateur guide may cost only $4,300. For the most experienced international climbers who could save your life in critical situations, the cost can reach several $100,000. Even before the actual climbing begins, you've already spent around $43,300. The climbing process involves 4 camps at different altitudes, with Camp 3 at 7,162 meters being the most crucial. Most climbers need to repeatedly ascend and descend between base camp and Camp 3 for acclimatization training before attempting the final push to the summit. During this phase, you'll need to pay for ladders, ropes, around $720 per person, and high-altitude weather services, around $1,000. Above 7,000 meters, you'll need supplemental oxygen, which requires hiring Sherpas to carry the tanks, costing around $2,200. Finally, upon reaching the summit, you'll need to tip your Sherpa guide around $1,400, bringing the total cost for most climbers to around $57,800. It's worth noting that there are now 19 developed routes to the Everest summit, and the costs mentioned above are for the most commonly used and relatively cheaper route. Other routes can nearly double the overall expense.